Roger bought gloves, and I was like, me personally, I don't really want to wear gloves at the gym. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little like you're a pop star who walks out. Like, I feel like you should only wear fingerless gloves if you're a biker or a drummer.
Yeah, let's roast Roger.
Roger's
He'll appreciate that.
Roger sucks. Hate that guy. Just kidding, Roger, for the second time. I love you. You're great. So what's some exciting stuff that's been going on in your life?
Exciting stuff. Well, I'm here. So
Yes.
that's like top tier.
Nice.
I think I mentioned it last time, but the research position, possibly, as long as it's approved.
Dope.
That'll be super baller.
That'll be great.
What's going on in my life? Intramural volleyball, anyone?
Hey, yo.
I literally only get to go to like 3 games, though.
Hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It's something. I miss sports.
Dude,
a
right?
lot. Yeah.
Basketball. We haven't had a basketball game since COVID started.
Yeah. I haven't played basketball. Well, actually, I did get to play a few weeks ago with a client's husband and his friend, and then all their kids. So it was like 6 kids.
Like
And
older or like little
I
kids?
set a screen on a kid during a fast break, and he got absolutely annihilated.
How old are we talking
I
here?
felt so bad, man. He was 12 years old. This kid,
Like,
full sprinting.
I mean, did you give him like a check, or did he just full sprinting?
He was full sprinting. I set the screen, and his knee collided with my leg, which hurt his knee. So
Because
I felt really
rock
bad.
solid.
He was fine, but it took him a little bit to get up and get moving. And the whole time I felt super awkward because I didn't want to land on any kids or like jump and rebound and come down on top of one of them. And one of them wasn't even wearing shoes.
What?
So then I was really
Just
scared
asking for
whenever
trouble.
she came up near the.
Were you at a
block.
court or just like somebody's?
It was like a church court,
Oh, okay.
so it was semi-legit. But I had super fun.
Super fun.
I had super fun. I had a ton of fun. And I
Mucho
sucked. Because I haven't played since I moved, so
Yeah.
I was really
Honestly, I am so like. I know my cardio is not like amazing right now, but I haven't played basketball since I was like 260, something like that.
bad. Ooh,
So
you're going to feel real good.
I'm hoping a little more hop,
Dunk
you know,
it, dude.
a little
Big man on campus.
a little more endurance.
Endurance. You say endurance like,
Normally I say it weird.
no, you just said it weird
Oh yeah,
before that. Say it again.
endurance.
That was a little better.
Like
You
normal.
enunciated.
So normally I would say endurance.
Endurance.
Quality content.
Trying to think of who that sounds like.
How do you say it?
Endurance. I mean, everything I say with an R sounds stupid, so thanks, Rue. Joke.
Get wrecked.
Freaking loser.
I don't know why I went like that. I should have gone like that.
So, let's start talking a little bit about what we wanted to talk about. So, what are the 3 components to a successful transformation? It's something I've talked about in the past.
And you're
Not with
asking-
you. I'm asking
You're
you.
asking me.
Yeah.
It's not just like a rhetorical question.
No, it's
Oh,
legitimately
okay.
a question.
Was I supposed to be studying before when you were talking to me about it, or
No.
do I have notes?
No.
Oh, okay.
No notes.
Exercise,
Okay.
nutrition,
Ayo.
and something else.
He's pretty close. What's the last one?
I don't know. I really,
Think about it. What's the if you're not actually, it's not real. Like the other 2, you can see it, it's tangible, you're doing it. What's the other thing that's super helpful?
mentality.
Close. It ends with itty.
What? What? Just say it.
Accountability.
There. Okay.
So exercise, nutrition, and accountability. all the three primary components for a successful transformation.
Makes sense. If I look
How
back at,
did that apply to your initial transformation?
So initially, the exercise was just running about 2 to 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So exercise I wasn't too strict on.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, nutrition, I did keto. I didn't do so much what like the fad people do, like fat bombs and like going crazy with it. And I'm more just cut out carbs and had like normal meals, which we've talked about. I mean, it was
And sugar,
protein.
which is a carb, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what
sugar's
say.
like a huge part of the initial weight loss in keto. But anyways,
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, sugar in general, when you cut it out, it's like 10 pounds.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So obviously, keto was my nutrition or diet. I mean, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, accountability. I had such like huge amount of support. I had support from you, obviously, family, and then the millbacks were an insane amount of support and accountability.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally started doing keto with me. I mean, granted, they wanted to lose weight, but in all honesty, I mean, they were already fit people. So,
But
they still do it though. They actually really like keto.
Really?
Yeah.
No, they were making you food and stuff. They were going all out.
Dinners.
They were super helpful.
Huge.
And then exercise, just running, right?
Pretty much. I don't. I don't think I even.
Maybe like I would be like do push-ups while we were.
Oh
playing games or
yeah.
something.
So yeah, every once in a while, like, there was a little, I don't know, period of time where I was like doing push-ups and like free weight squat or body weight squats, like that kind of stuff. You know, jumping jacks, blah blah blah, random stuff. I didn't do that a lot though. That was kind of a short-lived, I don't know, month or two, and then I don't know. I just kind of dove completely into the diet side of it or food side of it, and just kept running like a madman, just Forrest Gump style, never stopped.
Which, like, the whole saying abs are made in the kitchen is super legitimate, right? Because you did no exercise and lost, like, probably your last 30 or 40 pounds just from eating better, which is crazy.
I mean, technically, pretty much all of it was just from eating better.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which
because
is
like you said,
nuts.
running isn't really, I mean, it's exercise, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but it's not building the muscle.
Yeah. So, and that's what, if we, like, took that, picked it apart and made it, like, the ideal transformation.
Like, if
You
I
would
could go
probably-
back and, like,
yeah.
make it perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I still actually have a lot of respect for keto. I think especially where I was at, it's, if you have the desire, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I mean, one, you have to have the will, the motivation to not cheat, to do all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But I think, like, it's amazing for people who are severely overweight, which I was, obviously. Really helps, especially, obviously you get results probably quicker, maybe even a little too quickly. But I think the thing about it is I knew it wasn't my life and that I was making changes towards a better lifestyle. So it wasn't my end game, but it was a tool I could use to get where I wanted to be. But ideally, if I could go back, I think I would still do keto, to be completely honest. I did enjoy my time.
Sounds like you went to prison or something.
I enjoyed my time. It hardened me. But no, I would definitely make sure I was going to the gym.
Yeah.
At the very least twice a week, if not 3 times a week.
Which, if you were, though, keto might have been really difficult. Right?
There were times, like, I know there were definitely times, I can even remember instances at SHIP where, like, my legs just felt weak. Like, I was just tired. My legs felt weird.
Yeah.
But part of that was because I wasn't working out, and, like, I was going up, like, 5 flights of stairs randomly, and I'm like, ugh. So, like, yes and no. It would have been hard, but I think if I had been doing it and building muscle and kind of getting used to it, it would have made it easier.
Yeah. I'd say it's also weird, too, because, like, in keto, you're still in a deficit. You do get more protein than most restrictive diets, and you get a little more calories than most restrictive diets, but you're still ultimately decreasing quantity, increasing quality, being consistent, and even if you exercise a ton, like, it would still be difficult to maintain muscle mass on a restriction.
Yeah.
And without, like, absolutely hitting protein goals.
I will say, though, for the first months, probably multiple months, I was not cutting calories.
Yeah.
I mean, I was eating full-blown dinners.
Yeah.
I mean, I was overdoing it. I was still seeing results.
But were you actually logging, or were you just assuming that?
So here's what I remember. So this is how I know, like, I was just in a horribly food-motivated life. I don't know what you want to call it. I used to eat dinner until I was, like, sick. Mm-hmm. And also, like, I had mad acid reflux and stuff. But I used to just eat. It's like I trained my body to be like, hey, I'm not full until I'm exploding. And even while I was on keto, I would eat, like, 2 big platefuls of dinner for probably, I would guess, at least a few months. And I was still seeing results. And then I slowly started to realize, hey, like, I know that this is wrong. I'm not seeing as great of results. Mm-hmm. I need to fix myself, not only for just the results, but, like, my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
And I also want to preface that I'm not, like, trying to tear apart your transformation. I'm just kind of exploring what a transformation looks like, the different ways you can go about it, and ask you questions, see what you think. And I think you maintain calories, that's what you think, and that's probably somewhat true. I think when people cut out processed foods, though, like, they miss out on a ton of extra calories that they would have gotten. Like, if you drop soda, right, and you were drinking a decent amount of soda, that's like 400 calories.
Yeah.
If you
stop
putting like sauces on stuff, or frying everything in grease, then totally decrease calories. So, and that's the cool thing about eating healthy foods, is, like, you feel full and you ultimately get less calories. Like, some people just load up on tons of spinach and salad with every meal, and then they're, like, incredibly full, but they only had, like, 80 calories of salad plus a normal meal,
Yeah.
So, I have no idea. I wasn't, though, but that'd be my guess, is you probably
took a dip in quantity. I mean, obviously, I guess I would be... Well, technically, a deficit is, like, your body needs so-and-so calories, you only ate lower.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, obviously, at that weight, I guess it would have been a deficit, obviously. I guess I more meant, the amount of food I was putting in my body was still relatively the same, just not calorically the same.
Yeah. So do you have anything else about your transformation? You talked about accountability, a little bit about exercise and nutrition.
Yeah. I just, like I said, if I could really go back, I think I'd just add the gym in.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Mine was really, really slow. So it started with probably just exercising. I feel like I never really slowed down that much. Like, I always wanted to be active and playing basketball, or going to the gym, or going for a hike. I always kept pretty busy, and my job was pretty physical. But I remember when I was at my heaviest, I had gotten away from the gym and was just walking. And it was really difficult for me to get motivated. I was eating, like, Ben and Jerry's pretty much every night with my wife while we lived in California. So we both look way different from then.
Oh my gosh, dude.
And
Can we edit in post just some pictures of you guys before and then now?
I was actually thinking about while you were talking like about your transformation. I was like,
so you weren't
dude,
actively listening.
we should actually. Of course, I was actively listening.
I'm kidding.
Can actively listen and plan.
I can't.
I know you can't. We talked about all this.
That's why I just listened, or I'm gone.
Technically, you can't multitask. Like, you're ultimately just switching really fast between things.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So maybe I wasn't as actively listening as I thought I was.
Anyway.
But I thought I got everything. So yeah, we were like went from not exercise much and eating Ben and Jerry's, and really not having accountability because it was just me and Hannah up though, and we were just enjoying life and not really worrying about our health at all. And when we were apart and I lived in Greencastle and she lived in California, Pennsylvania, I started to make little changes and get better, and I lost like 25 pounds just from cooking my own food and not really having
I remember
home make for me and eat ice cream and do all that stuff all the time. But I still had I lived with my roommates from high school and college, so we would like make sheets runs in the middle of the night and still didn't have really good habits. So like that last, it would have been 35, 40 pounds didn't happen until I actually moved to Idaho. And when we moved to Idaho, we were already getting really healthy and like back into exercise, and we loved climbing. And when we got out here, they had climbing all over, and then my job was physical. And I just got more and more active and a little bit more and more into nutrition. And Hannah was there for the ride, so we both kind of helped each other out and got healthy. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But what I do now with clients as far as transformations go is I try to provide them with valuable resources and just I'm a body for them to come and report what they're doing too, basically each week, and somebody to feel bad too, like they can come in and be like, dude, I freaking sucked last week, and I can kind of bust them a little bit and mess with them.
So you don't specifically tell them like, hey, this is what you should do. You just kind of say, hey, here's a couple things that I think will work out for you, but you can do some more research and choose what you think will be best for you.
I have meal plans. I obviously have what they should be doing exercise-wise, and I am the accountability
Right, I guess I
person.
more mean the nutrition.
Nutrition, it just depends on where they're coming from. Not everybody can just make a plan and then stick to it. Some people do better with minor little adjustments. So some of my heavier clients, the main thing is just cutting out processed foods and reduce sugar. If alcohol's an issue and not like their one true love, then I tell them to tone that down, and that's usually enough. Just making small little changes. Sugar is a really big one. People feel better and they lose weight when they get off of sugar, and they get less cravings, so they usually eat a little bit better.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh my gosh.
So
you lose the cravings. Also, when you haven't been on sugar for a while, it is so overly sweet.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like, I even remember when I first got off keto, because even substitutes usually aren't like that sweet. I mean, a couple of them I think are, but for the most part, not really. Mm-hmm. And when I first got off keto, I was kind of like, oh, I'll have a little something, and it was almost gross. Mm-hmm. Some of the chocolate or whatever, like it was just overpowering.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how you get desensitized to some flavors and like sweet and some other stuff when you're overdoing processed and sugary food.
Yeah, it's bad. It's crazy. I know, like whenever I go see family or hang out with friends again, we always end up going and getting food, and it pretty much just becomes the entire time we're getting either semi-unhealthy or just not great food. Something me and Hannah started doing is every time there's a holiday, we pack a ton of veggies and bring them with us. Like, we'll still bring a sweet and like make cookies and stuff, but we also pack tons of veggies.
So for you specifically, so you have them while you're there?
Yeah, so that during the meals we have like options that'll, like, we'll make them, and then during the big meal we always have like options to load up on greens and goodies.
Yeah, smart.
And we just had Easter. I saw an Instagram post, I can't remember who posted it, but they were a health coach, and they were talking about like strategies for getting through the holidays, and they said, like, number one, don't beat yourself up, like, enjoy yourself. Number two, focus on protein. So like, if they make turkey, load up on turkey, like make half your plate turkey, and then half carbs, and then like half veggies, and then avoid the sweets as much as possible. Like, try to control yourself with them. And that's really good advice. So
just to clarify, half protein, quarter carb, quarter?
Yes. Yeah, like the other half of the plate. Sorry. Okay.
I figured that's what you meant, but I just wanted to.
And especially for listeners, they would have been like, dude, you are really bad.
1.5 plates over here.
There you go, man. That's how you do it on Easter.
Thanksgiving, man. If you aren't doing 2 plates.
Yeah. I'd say the other thing nutritionally that we have to offer is, like, we have like a local eating guide that I built and found some healthy options in the area for like every type of food, and then put it in a book so that they can look and refer to it, and when they do go out to eat and they want like Mexican food, then there's a couple options.
Oh, right, yeah.
So that's kind of cool. And then meal plans if needed. I'd like to use those as like suggestions, and then I just give them little strategies along the way. But I'd say a lot of the people that come to me don't even want nutritional advice. They just want to like be more functional, or they like have back pain and they want to get healthy. And I have like 2 ladies who have low bone density and want to actually build mass, so they're trying to eat more food. So I give them strategies to eat more. And so everybody comes to me for slightly different reasons, obviously.
So I have a little, maybe slightly off topic question. Do you feel like what you do in your business could benefit someone who's already like athletic and exercising?
For sure, yeah. I'd say like the functional movement aspect and like the background working as an exercise therapist for the last almost 2 years, and physical therapist before that, physical therapy assistant, really empowered me with a lot of resources to kind of optimize and help people address little dysfunctions. So even if they don't come to me for the main training, like if they're doing aesthetic training or they're power lifters, then I might not be able to help them programming wise for that. Like, I don't have a ton of experience working with those kind of people. Obviously I can do the research to figure it out just like anybody else, but I can improve their lifts and improve their training and make them last longer by incorporating some of that functional movement and throwing different stimulus at their body than what they're used to. So, yeah. And then the last podcast, we talked a little bit about balance training and incorporating that. That's usually something that people haven't seen before, so that's helpful. Yeah, good question. So, as a little like challenge question for people and for us, why do you actually exercise? What is your reason?
Why do I personally exercise?
Why are you getting into training and lifting and being powerful?
Because I feel like there is a best version of me out there, and I want to get it.
Yeah.
And that is, it's not just exercise or physicalness. It's also mentality, emotionally. But I feel like a great stepping stone, like I know we've talked about domino effect, right? Mm-hmm. Started keto, everything kind of started falling, right? And I think it's a huge step. Working on your exercise, getting physically fit, obviously for health reasons, but I think confidence. I think anybody who is going from maybe out of shape, overweight, even if it's not that much, when you start slimming down, putting on muscle, when you just start getting physically fit, there is always a confidence boost. And that affects every facet of your life, that
Big
confidence boost.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've felt it.
Yeah. No, it's a huge game changer. And it's like every time you do it, you get a little more confidence. Like, not like you become more and more confident necessarily, but you just are like, you have a shot of confidence for the day.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, I got after it today. I got my one win. Let's keep going,
Yep.
you know? And yeah, it is a domino effect. So that's cool. So you want to maximize who you are as a person physically, mentally, emotionally. That's your goal.
Yep.
Wow. Just take all the answers, joke.
Yep, spiritually as well. Throw that in there.
For me, I think number one, I just want to be a good example to all my clients and to the gym in general. So a big part of that lately for me has been focusing on aesthetics, which sounds crazy because it's totally against everything I believe in. But I have been working on that a little more, which has been interesting. Obviously, any training I feel like helps with aesthetics, but like actually dialing it in for once and like splitting it up in a way that I can do that. What's up?
Why do you say that it's something that you're always against?
I'm like such a function person. Like things just, all I care about is the functionality of it. Like Hannah will do something from yoga class and I'll be like, what is the point of that movement? She's like, I don't know, it looks cool. And I'm like, yeah, it looks cool, but I don't see the point. And I'm like,
so do you feel like it's pointless, or do you feel like it's something that should only come, like, it's the cherry on top, it's the topping?
hey everybody, we are back. Obviously, we've been here the whole time.
Yeah, nothing happened.
But we had
there weren't
some.
any technical difficulties at all. It actually ran
It did
so
not
smoothly.
delete our video 3 separate times
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, no, that didn't happen.
So, on that note, Rue had just finished why he exercises, which is to better himself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and of course physically.
Yes.
And I was going to tell you why I exercise and why I enjoy exercising. So, I exercise because I want to be a good representation to all my members and the people coming to the gym and my family. That's been a huge motivation for me. I think prior to having the gym, I was just really focused on functionality and bettering all the injuries I had in the past, and just working on myself as far as performance, like with climbing and stuff. So really the only reason I was exercising is to supplement the things I already love doing and make them a little bit easier, because most of the things I love doing were really difficult after all my injuries and weight gain and everything. But recently, I'd say it shifted more than it had in the past to training for aesthetics, and I just felt like that's the next step for me, not because I feel like I need to, but I feel like a lot of people come to me for that, and the easiest way for me alone is to just do it and kind of throw myself into it and learn the culture a little bit and the real like nitty-gritty details of it. So I've been working on my problem areas and splitting up my training a little bit more, and it's been interesting. Yeah, even though it's kind of not what I do this for, but I figured I'd do it. Yeah. So,
do you think you could just kind of give a brief description of just specifically what you mean by targeting, like doing aesthetics?
So I've, like, coming from physical therapy and then as an exercise therapist, and then getting into personal training, like the last thing I was worried about was aesthetics. Like I've trained people for the last 3 years for functionality and for optimization of performance. Like that was really what my specialty was. And then when I started doing the personal training like 100%, then I started seeing more and more people for aesthetics as well, which is bettering the way you look and like trying to lose weight and trim down and build up certain muscles and like the show muscles that look good. And so I have recently taken that on for myself and tried doing that for my training as well, like in the last 2 weeks. So that's been interesting, to say the least. But we found some cool exercises for real delts today, because with kettlebells and the barbell movements I like, those, which is really the main ways I train, there was tons of stuff to do for front delt and a little bit of side delt, but I haven't had a lot of love for my real delt other than climbing, which I feel like my big muscles just take over. So working on that little guy on the back of the shoulder was fun today. We found a bunch of good exercise for it, and definitely be hammering away in the future.
They were definitely weak. Well, mine were.
Yeah, mine
It was
were
rough.
too. Yeah, when you're like, well, anybody who's like trying to get those little nitty gritty muscles as opposed to the big ones, you're gonna be weaker, but it is what it is. That's part of the weirdness to me. I like just picking up the next heaviest kettlebell, not really grabbing the tins and doing all these weird movements with them. But it's fun.
So, out of curiosity, would you say like working on your rear delt is more of an aesthetic, or do you think it's a part of the full body and it's something that maybe we've just missed?
A little bit of both. I think society in general is probably missing it because we're so slouched. So like the slouch posture and technology and like the rounding of the back has made those muscles a little longer, and when it's longer, it's weaker. So we're really good at pushing, but we're not great at pulling, which the main movement for the rear delt is pulling towards us in this motion, or the last couple degrees of extension. So we don't do that a lot. We don't Naruto run everyone. So rear delts don't get a lot of loving. And I think it's good to address it posturally, though. I know when I finished the workout today, I felt like for the last hour or two, my shoulders sat in a better position, because I usually sit pretty inwardly rotated. I try to fight it, but it always happens, and I felt like I was pulling it back more afterwards, so that felt good. So posturally, I feel like training them definitely has its benefits, but the focus initially was just for aesthetics. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
Cool deal. So as far as you guys, what you should be doing is comment below why you exercise. What's your motivations? Why are you doing this? And then also, if you're getting into exercise or into training in general, your first step should be figuring out why you're doing it. So take some time to think about it and get to the roots of your motivations, because although I'd love for everybody to just focus on training so that they can do what they love to do for the long term, some people need to build muscle, some people need to lean down, some people want to look better, some people want to perform better, and you can't know where you're going without figuring out where you want to go. So do that first and put it in the comments so we can see all the variety and why people do what they do. Cool. So with that being said, we're going to go to our next segment, which is Ask a Trainer.
All right, so this is question time with Trainer David.
Stop being weird, bro.
All right. So, how much pain is okay, or is any okay?
Okay. So this question was brought to me by a client whose name is Rues.
You jerk.
And I was like, Rues, do you have any questions you'd want answered during this time? And he was just trying to think from a client's perspective of some questions. So the question is pain okay, or what kind of pain, how to tell what pain is what? And I'd say the answer is it really depends, and the best thing to do is to just ask somebody who knows a little bit better, but also to really be like consciously aware of what your resting state is, what your joints feel like, what your muscles feel like. That way when you exercise and you're done, you can pay attention to whether your joints are hurting or your muscles are hurting. Because if it's muscle pain, then that's probably okay, especially if it only lasts for like a few days and it's probably just soreness. But if it's intense and if it's like sharp and moving hurts, then that might not be a great thing. So obviously, like, some people exercise legs really hard and then going down the stairs is painful and it feels weak, and you just exercise legs super duper hard.
Yeah.
So that is kind of okay. But if you can't even like go down the step without getting like a sharp zinging pain into your knee, like deep in there, then you might have done something to your knee and you might need to take some time off. So obviously, if you are in that pain though, just don't go do squats. And if every time you do a movement you're getting that kind of pain, then that movement's not for you, and it's not a great movement to do. So something I told a lot of my clients is, I actually like drew this thing on a board and explained it, is pain-free range of motion is super duper important. So if you go to do a range of motion and it's painful, then your body's response to that painful range of motion is to alter your movement pattern. And when we alter our movement pattern, we become dysfunctional. And when a movement pattern is dysfunctional, you're more likely to get injured and therefore experience more pain. So it kind of becomes a pretty drastic cycle of crap that you don't want to be in. Okay? So if you have pain, then find a different movement that strengthens the same muscle group. So like if your quads hurt, like if your knee hurts when you do a squat, but it feels okay while you do a lunge, or vice versa, then do the other one until the other one feels better. And try and train, let's say, what's another example you could do? So you either replace the movement with a similar movement that strengthens the same muscle, or you do the same movement but you take down the weight, or you shorten the range of motion, or you go to a box and back up, or you provide assistance with bands. Those tons of things you can do to make it more doable, and then build up tolerance to that movement pattern. So substitute, alter, or you can test the movement, drill the movement, and then retest the movement, which is basically what we do in physical therapy and as exercise therapists. Is somebody comes in with squat issues, we're not just going to run away from the danger. We're going to do a squat, figure out what is painful, what kind of things cause the pain, at what range of motion they feel it. Then if, let's say, we're noticing that their ankle's wigging out and collapsing inward, or it's that they feel way better with the squat when we change the range of motion of their ankle. I know I'm getting into the nitty gritty details, but if we notice that ankle's impaired, then we could provide a bunch of ankle mobility exercises. We can alter the range of motion at the ankle specifically, and then go through a full squat. And if it fixes their pain, then we know the problem is the ankle. If they still have a little bit of pain with the knee, then maybe there's some other stuff going on. Maybe the knee's collapsing inward because the adductors are too tight, and the abductors of the hip, the outside of the hip, is weak. So we'd strengthen the outside and loosen the inside, then do a squat again, and it might feel better. So the three options for when you have painful range of motion is substitute, alter the movement itself, or test, drill, retest. Cool?
Yep.
So that's something anybody can apply to their training. And it's not always the best idea to just run away from movement, because the more movements we can't do anymore, the quicker we die. Okay, that's what I said last video. So, yeah. What
All
is
right.
the next question?
Next question. Why do we take downtime? Why do we need downtime?
Okay. So before we get into this too, let me throw it back to you. Have you experienced any pain during your training, or like, does Roger have any pain when he trains? So that he'd feel comfortable talking about?
So, I mean, when I first started losing weight, I had knee pain, ankle pain. When I was running, like I said, I didn't really go to the gym a whole lot, but when I was running, I definitely had knee pain, ankle pain, and just as I lost weight and got more in shape, running wise, all that
Yeah.
left. I used to have, I don't know if you remember when I used to go to the gym with you 2 years ago when I was very overweight. I had a lot of shoulder pain, like doing push-ups, and something would just catch. Every once in a while, I still get something that kind of catches. It's weird. But it doesn't really affect me when I'm at the gym. It'll just be a random thing.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, ever since I've lost the weight and kept it off for the most part, I haven't really had any joint. Like I had said earlier, I overdid it with running, but that was just overuse, and I rested.
Which we're about to talk about, which is kind of perfect. But something I'll say too is just because a movement is pain-free as well does not mean it's functional.
Right. No.
So you cannot have pain and still be wildly dysfunctional, which could eventually lead to injury, which could lead to pain. So always check your movements out. I'd suggest working out in front of a meal or filming your lifts every once in a while. That way you can see where you're going wrong and try and fix it. And ultimately, talking to somebody who knows the movement is probably the best option, but you can always self-correct as well. So,
and even if you don't live in this guy's area, you can always record yourself, and he will take a look at it. And
yeah, Marco Polo is super helpful for me too. If you want to more frequently talk to me, it's way easier to communicate through that app. But yeah. So you asked why is downtime important? Was that the question? So downtime is important because things happen like overuse. So when you exercise and you're going really, really hard and you've been doing it for a long period of time, eventually it's going to start to impact your performance, and it's going to be difficult to continue to see progression without taking a little bit of time off. So I decided that most of my clients should be on a deload week, just because I noticed like random aches and pains were kind of popping up, and they didn't seem as strong that week, so I suggested that they do a deload. And deload is basically for them specifically. We were going to take a week off to deload. And we weren't going to do nothing. We did like active recovery for the week and rolled and stretched and worked on limitations. That way when we went back, ideally you see a lot of strength gains because your muscles are able to fully rebuild and recover, and then they can perform to the best of their ability. So basically, you go super hard for a long period of time, your body needs a little bit longer of a break than 2 days because you've been hammering it for 12 weeks. So a week deload every once in a while is a good idea. And it doesn't go without some additional thought, because obviously people are coming to me because they love exercise and want to exercise. So the last thing I want to do is take that away from them. But I think it's important every once in a while to do that. And your only other option is to drastically tone down the intensity at which you are frequently exercising. So, like, I think there was this dude I listened to a while on the Joe Rogan podcast who was a trainer, and he was talking about how the Russians train as opposed to how Americans train. And he was just basically saying that, like, Russian wrestlers are better because they train with very low intensity. Like, they'll just kind of goofing around, playing around, but they do it for like a few hours every single day. Whereas Americans will get in the gym and do these really long, intense HIIT style workouts and go 100% pretty frequently, and then they need these long breaks to recover. So the other option is to just tone down the intensity and the amount that you're doing and just do it every day. But that's difficult for a lot of people to do. most people trying to be diligent with the time they have and make the best use of it, so they really hammer it when they're there. So they need a deload every once in a while.
All right.
Makes sense.
It does.
Cool.
Last question.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
You didn't ask it right.
Dang it.
It's why are we doing this?
Oh.
No, there was a while ago where we were doing where I programmed an exercise, and the client was getting frustrated because of the way we were doing the exercises and getting up and down a lot. And they asked me why we were doing what we were doing. And in that specific scenario, if getting up and down off the ground is difficult, then you should probably do it more often, because it shouldn't be difficult at all. So unless you have like bad blood flow, or I think the word's orthostatic hypotension or hypotension, and like you get dizzy spells when you move up and down in positions quickly, then you should probably be good at getting up and down. And that would be my answer if I could go back in time. But really, like, to expand on that, I talked a little bit about how as we age, balance becomes super important. Something I do with a lot of the balance ladies I train is I teach them how to get down on the ground and back up again, because a lot of them have lost that ability. And losing that ability is a pretty good indicator that you'll that you have very poor movement, and that it could eventually lead to serious injury or death. So I hate to always like be the crude's dad who's like, death! But I've seen it, and I've seen serious injuries happen because people couldn't do basic skills. And when I say like the more skills you lose and you stop walking, the quicker you die, is because if you can't get down and on the ground and back up again, and you fall and you can't go get help because you're stuck, or if you stop doing pull-ups and you fall off a cliff and grab onto the edge and you can't pull yourself up, then you fall off. You know, there's like a lot of, if you can't swim and you fall in the water, right? So there's all these examples of like really basic things that we take for granted, and if we lose the ability to do them, it could result in very negative consequences. And also, the less you move, the less stimulation your brain gets as you age, the less happy you are, the less confident you are with movement, the more likely you are to be scared inside and not move around, and the quicker you age because you can't do all those things. So my main thing when training those people is to put them in uncomfortable situations and make them do things that they haven't done in a while, so that they can regain those skills and then practice them repeatedly, so that when they pop up in their day-to-day life, they can just do it. So like a really cool story is I had one lady who couldn't sit down in a chair and get back up again without like serious help or using her hands, and when she would do it, her knees would touch together, and it just looked really, really difficult to just stand up out of a chair. And she's been training for a little while, and she the other day went to get out of a chair, a low chair, and she had a laptop on her lap, and she had a laptop and she stood up like that, and she was like, oh my gosh, I just stood up without using my hands holding something. She was like blown away. So yeah, that was cool. It's cool to see people do things that they couldn't do before. So that is why we are doing what we're doing most of the time that we're doing. There's a method to the madness, but I always do appreciate questions. Just don't ask them out of laziness. So anyways, that is I think that's it.
I feel like that's got to be one of the best feelings about this, though, is like that kind of improvement that's like, it's not even superficial. Like, I shouldn't say superficial, but like it's such a life, like such a change, like a improvement.
Yeah.
Towards life, health, like something like that.
Yeah. Even the little things like that make a huge difference. So it's pretty pretty exciting when you see it live in real time and you were part of that change. Honestly, like, I couldn't do it without them trying and putting in the effort. So
Right, you can't make
it
them.
takes an awesome client to have an awesome trainer. So I've been blessed to have some really cool clients, but yeah, it's super rewarding. It's good. I think that's it. Let's wrap it up.
All right.
So, if you guys have questions, I'll be honest, the last 2 videos were old questions that people had asked me in the past and I'd already answered or that Rues came up with. So we need questions from you guys. And the reason we haven't got any is because we just started back up and we filmed 2 kind of back to back. So if you guys want...
I even changed
Everybody
shirts.
knows I'm wearing the same pants,
for this.
the same hat.
Ah,
I just wanted you to
it's okay
represent.
though. I get to represent.
And it was free, so deal with it. Anyways,
That's fair.
Message or email trainer davidllf@gmail.com with your questions so that we can answer them here on the podcast. Leave a review, comment, subscribe, do whatever is relevant to your platform, and let us know why you actually exercise and what is your motivation behind doing it. And have a great week. And remember to eat light, move right, sleep tight. Do you have any challenges for them?
Any challenges for them? Yeah. I want everybody who watches this to submit one question or just something to us.
If you made it this far and you don't submit a question, just know that I have some incredible hackers coming for you. Just kidding.
All right.
Got real. No, seriously, sending a question would be awesome to hear from you guys, and we love answering them, and that's why I do what I do. I think ultimately my true passion is teaching and educating, and that's what this podcast allows me to do, and my job allows me to do. So please let me do it more. I don't know why I asked it like such a thing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Just do it.
It was a little desperate.
But bye.
Bye.